What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and welcome to another episode of our First Down Training show. Today, we're going to be talking about why most players don't make it past high school football. I'm assuming a lot of you have goals, dreams, aspirations to play at the college level, but these are some of the most common mistakes that players will make that will prevent them from playing college level ball. So like I said, I'm assuming most of you watching this or who are frequent with our channel, watch our channel a lot, especially our longer form content. We appreciate all the support too, you guys. We enjoy making these longer form videos because we feel like we can give you guys more information and hopefully it gives you some value. But I'm assuming most of you watching this have goals of playing at the next level, or maybe your child has goals of playing at the next level, meaning the college level. Now that's a very hard thing to do. Obviously, if you get a college scholarship, that is something immensely to be proud of. That's something that you should be striving for, and that should be your primary goal, in my opinion. Some of you might just want to have a good high school career, and that's cool, but a lot of you guys want to play at the next level. But there are some mistakes that players will make, and I say this to hopefully make you guys prevent, or help you guys just prevent making these ultimate mistakes that honestly may not seem like a big deal at first, but can lead to problems down the line with your college career, or even just getting to college or getting a school that's interested in you. So the first mistake I feel that a lot of athletes make is they don't put in enough time, or I guess put in enough work outside of practice. So you got to understand, guys, it's a crazy stat, but I think it's it's a very small percentage of high school athletes across all sports that actually ultimately play in college, right? A lot of you guys will go to college, but if you're going to actually play a sport in college or get a scholarship to be able to play in college, it's a very, very low percentage, right? So what I think a lot of people do is I think what they think they do at practice or at off-season lifting, off-season workouts, spring ball is enough. It's not enough. Now, could you get by with natural talent in some cases? There are constant examples of that. I'm sure a lot of you guys who are in high school who see this. You have a kid on your team who's immensely athletic, immensely talented, and he's one of the laziest people of all time. He just kind of screws off in class. He doesn't really work hard, doesn't go to training, misses practice sometimes, but he's just naturally that good. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in this episode, but for most of you, you're probably not gifted like that. Or maybe you're gifted, maybe you have natural talent, because I feel like a lot of us have that God-given talent, but it's really what are you going to do with it? Because to be able to play at the collegiate level, you have to understand the guys that you're competing against, and the guys that you're competing against across the country, not just in your state, I'm talking across the country, who all have the same goal as you. Guys, you need to put in effort outside of practice to be able to make yourself stand out from those people. That's ultimately at the end of the day what it comes down to, right? So if you're a guy that goes let's say you're in off-season lifting, and let's say you do an hour of lifting at school with your team, and then you go home and you do nothing else. You're falling behind. And here's the thing, just from because what do you need to do to be able to play in the collegiate level? You need to start on your varsity high school team, right? So imagine if you're a receiver and you got 10 other receivers that you're competing with, and you guys are all doing the exact same workout. How do you expect yourself to get an edge on those 9 other receivers that you're competing with? You're not. You guys are all doing the same thing. And the guys who's going to get those edge, or the guy who's going to be able to get to that next level and pass up the rest of the competition, is the guy who's putting in the effort outside of practice and outside of the facility. So I'm not saying, hey, you go do an hour of weights. I'm not saying you got to go home and do another hour of weights. Maybe you do, but you got to go out after practice. You need to be training and working on your skills. You need to be working on your speed. You need to be studying. You need to be watching film. You need to be doing something to improve your game away from the actual facility. That's why I have a job, you guys. I train athletes all the time because athletes want to go to a trainer because they want to work on their skills outside of practice, but you need to put in that time and you need to put in that dedication. Now, another thing that I will say is not enough athletes are obsessed with repetition how they should be. And again, this is take it from me, I was never I had God-gifted talent in terms of arm strength, athleticism, right? But I by no means was just naturally the best quarterback out there. I had to work to even be able to just get an opportunity because I wasn't as naturally gifted as most people who could throw the ball, or maybe who were just bigger than me and taller than me, etc. So for me to be able to get those opportunities, dude, I had to be obsessed with repping things out over and over and over again. So I had a quarterback coach, right, who I would go to every Sunday. Once a week is not enough, but my parents couldn't afford going and sending me out to that coach, 3 times a week. So I'd go once a week, and what I would do is Monday through Saturday, whatever I learned on Sunday, I'd be repping it out. Even if it was 30 minutes a day on some mechanical thing that he showed me, I was constantly obsessed with the details, because you guys need to understand that repetition and that consistency is what makes you better. Football Football is not a complex game. There are things that every single position needs to get better at, but who's going to put in more effort at it? As a quarterback, it's like arm strength, accuracy, throwing on the run, extending the play, reading defenses, right? It's not complicated. You guys know what you need to do to work on those things, but it's about repetition. Who's going to be willing to do that stuff over and over again for a longer period of time? So I think most people don't do that. They don't put enough time in outside of practice, and that's what hinders their ability to play at the next level, because eventually players start passing them up and they go down on that depth chart, okay? Now, second thing that I think prevents guys from playing at the next level, and this is honestly a sad one because I've seen this happen many times, hanging around the wrong crowd, okay? So some of you may not be in high school. You might be going to high school. Some of you might be in high school, and you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. But there are little cliques of people at every single high school, right? You got the football players and the athletes, you got the basketball players, you got the baseball crowd, you got the druggies, you got the guys who like to party, you got the rich kids, you got the smart kids. Like, there's all these little cliques, right? And so a lot of times what I saw in high school football, especially the high school that I went to, had a very, very bad drug problem, extremely bad drug problem. Like, we had kids who would OD every single year. And it's not like I went to a school in like the projects. I went to a school in a very decently wealthy area. It wasn't like super wealthy, but like everybody in there was relatively like upper middle class. I wasn't. I was out of district. But in that district, but the issue with that is that a lot of these parents, they all work. They're not around. They have money. They just give their kids money. And what do those kids do with that money? They go buy alcohol. They'll go buy drugs. I don't even know where they freaking got the drugs, to be honest with you. But I would see a lot of guys that I would play football with start hanging around with the wrong crowd. They start hanging around with the guys that are every Friday night, every Saturday night, they're at some party, they're getting freaking wasted, and it's just like, and you hang around the barbershop long enough, you're going to eventually get a haircut. You know what I mean? So I saw a lot of guys who were so obsessed with football, they love football, they were great athletes, start hanging around with that wrong crowd. All of a sudden, their grades start slipping. All of a sudden, they're missing practice a little bit more frequently. All of a sudden, they don't really care about football. They care about other things that aren't necessarily the best things for them. They go down that wrong path, and a lot of those dudes ended up quitting football. And a lot of those same guys are dudes nowadays that I'll see who are extremely unhappy. They either have a substance abuse problem, they had a kid way too early. Like, it's not good, you guys. Like, and again, like, the kid thing, like, just think what you want about it, but like, it's probably not the best course of action to have a kid at 18 years old, you know what I mean? But anyways, it's like, that's just the way it goes sometimes. And again, those decisions, those little small decisions that you think are not that big of a deal, like, oh, well, I'll just go to this party one time and I'll have that drink one time. Oh, maybe I'll smoke weed one time. It's just one time. It's not a big deal, but it's a very, very quick downward spin. And a lot of those guys, fellas, didn't end up finishing football. And if they did stay on the football team, they weren't getting much play time. They'd quit. They'd have a bad attitude. So you just don't want to hang around that type of crowd. Please, I promise you when I say this, Division I level athletes, any type of college athlete, don't do that type of stuff, you guys. They don't. They just don't. They're focused on their craft. They're focused on what they need to do to get to that next level, because that is ultimately what's more important to them. It's all about priorities, and we're going to talk about priorities in a second, okay? So now, before we get into the rest of these things, you guys, if you're a QB or wide receiver watching this, or a parent of a quarterback or wide receiver watching this, and you would like to train with myself and my staff of coaches this offseason, we're traveling out to 15 different cities across the entire country for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camps. So guys, if you want to sign up to work with me, go to that very first link in the description below. That is where you can find all the information and sign up. Our camps are 2 days long, like I said, and we really take the time to slow things down. That's how our camps are a little bit different. It's not like a big long line of 30 guys and we're just going as fast as we can. Every single rep, you're going to get coached up. You do something wrong, we're going to tell you what you did wrong, how you can improve. It's like a training session, you guys, with like a private trainer. And that's what we really pride ourselves on. So all of our camps have limited spots, and all of our camps will sell out. Our first 3 camps, which are going to be in San Francisco, Orlando, Florida, and Phoenix, Arizona, we only got like 5 spots left, and then we're going to have to start turning people away because we just can't physically have that many people out there with the style of coaching that we do. So all these camps will sell out probably before the first of the year, you guys. So again, very first link in that description below, that's where you can get all the info. After we go out to Phoenix, Arizona, like we mentioned, then we'll be heading out to Columbia, South Carolina, Seattle, Washington, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Nashville, Tennessee, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Austin, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, Denver, Colorado. Then we'll be coming out to Columbus, Ohio, Boston, Massachusetts, Salt Lake City, Utah, and finishing it off in Los Angeles, California. So guys, want some info? Again, very first link in that that description below. We'd love to have you there, okay? So now, let's get to the next thing. So, mistake number 3, because there are really 5 things that I would say prevent guys from going to the next level if we keep it very simple. Third thing is going to be bad grades. So, again, guys, it's no secret to be able to go to college. You need to have good grades and you need to take care of business in the classroom as well. There's nothing a college coach loves more than a guy who can make plays on the field and a guy who has a really high GPA. Like, I'll give you a personal example, right? I didn't have bad grades. I was always like a 3.5 GPA and I was a pretty decent football player, right? And I remember I was getting recruited by Yale. Yale, Ivy League school, life-changing school. Like, I go to Yale, like, I don't regret it because I probably am not in the situation that I'm in talking to you guys. I'm probably doing something different. But just think about, like, if I didn't want to do this, like, if I didn't want to be, like, the first down training guy, like, if I didn't want to do this type of stuff and didn't want to be a coach, didn't want to do camps, didn't want to do any of that, like, what great opportunity it would have been to go to Yale and think about the amount of job opportunities I would have if I went to Yale, right? And just, like, did decently well over there. The network, the alumni that's went there. Like, I'd probably be working on like friggin' Wall Street or something like that, right? I'd be absolutely miserable, but anyways. But just think about the opportunities if that's something that you guys would want to do, right? So, but what happened is that Yale saw the 3.5 GPA and that's not good enough for Yale. You know what I mean? So they told me, they're like, bro, like, we can't give you a scholarship because like your GPA is not high enough, so you need like a perfect SAT. And like, I wasn't going to get a perfect SAT. And so again, it was just kind of like, man, like I have to have that conversation with myself. Like, dang, I really should have put in more effort in the classroom. And like, it wasn't like I was dumb. It wasn't like I had like a 2.0 or something like that. I shouldn't say dumb because some people are just, they're not dumb, but they just don't do well at school. But it wasn't like I had a GPA like that. I had a decent GPA, but it just wasn't good enough for that type of school. So I missed out on that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say to you guys, you really got to take care of business in the classroom. Now, everybody says like, oh, well, all you need is a 2.5. That's for like the 5-star freaking dude who could probably go to the NFL right now. If you're not that guy, which most of us are not, you probably need a little bit higher of a GPA than that. 3.0 or above. I'm telling you right now, it's only going to help you. 3.0 or above is what you should be shooting for. If you can get a 4.0, get a 4.0, because just think about the amount of doors that open up for you guys. You don't have to be as good of a football player if you have that GPA to be able to get into a high-level academic school that could set yourself up for later on in life, especially if you're a guy that's maybe like, hey, you know, I probably won't go to the NFL. It's not necessarily a focus of mine, but I do want to play football in college and I want to use football to get me a great opportunity. So you have to take care of business. And at the end of the day, grades at the high school, it's not that hard, you guys. Like, take it from me who went to college, like, it's way less work. It's not that complex. Teachers baby you, unless you go to like a crazy academic school. But like, guys, it's pretty easy. It's really all about time management. Some things I could tell you for time management is make a schedule for yourself. You know, like I like a lot of my friends and people I meet think I'm very weird, but like to this day, I write out my entire day, like from the time I get up all the way till the time I go to sleep in like 30-minute increments. So I have like literally like 50 different freaking legal pads of just me writing out my day, like this to this, this to this, this to this. And I do it every single night before the next day. It kind of helps me organize my thoughts. But throughout the day, I just stay on my schedule. And so like what you could do is like, okay, I have school from 8 to 2. I got practice from 2 to 3:30, 3:30 to 4:30. I'm going to drive home and eat something. Okay, 4:30 to 5, I'm going to do this. 5 to 6, I'm going to do this. And just stay on that schedule and just treat that schedule like you're just daily, like just freaking, this is what I'm doing. It's my to-do list. And you scratch it off, scratch it off, scratch it off, because that can help you manage your time a little bit better and stay focused on one thing at a time. Because it's hard to be a student athlete. You got practice, you have things to worry about, you have maybe a social life, you have schoolwork, like, so you need to be able to manage your time, and that will help your grades be a lot better. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about that. Now, number 4. Your priorities aren't in order. So this kind of piggybacks off of everything that I'm talking about here, but like, you need to understand what your main priorities are, because that can ultimately help you make better decisions, right? So like, I'll give you an example personally for me. Like, my number 1 priority over everything else is to be a good man and be who God has called me to be. That is over everything else, over football videos, over like friends, over everything. That is my primary, like, North Star number 1 priority. Then like number 2 would probably be like, you know, my business, like continuing to do what I do. Number 3 would probably be like my friends and my family, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe family and then friends, like, etc. Like, you need to understand like what your priorities actually are and what you actually want out of your high school career and what you want really out of your life. You know what I mean? Because these decisions matter. And like, obviously a lot of you guys have parents that can help you make make these decisions and wise people in your life that can help you make these decisions. Reach out to them, ask them for help if you feel a little bit lost or you feel a little bit confused, but you need to understand what your priorities are because that helps you make better decisions. Like for me, like when I have, let's say my priority is being a good person, right? That's number one above all else, being of service to people, not being selfish and trying to just be, again, who God's created me to be, right? Trying to go towards God, not go away from God. Because there have been times in my life where I feel like I've gone away from him, and that's probably the most unhappy parts of my life, right? So my number one priority is if it doesn't align with that, I'm not going to do that. I get hit up by a lot of like brands, for example, right? So like a company that wants to sponsor me. So on a video, I promote their product. I look into the company. It doesn't align with how I align. I feel like I'm lying to my audience. That's me not being a good person. That's me lying to you guys. So I'm going to turn that opportunity down because it doesn't align with myself. So how can you guys relate to this as a player? Let's say one of your top priorities is playing football in college. That's what this video is about, right? My top priority is playing football in college. So when I have a friend reach out to me and say, hey, we should go to this party, and there's going to be alcohol there, there'll be girls there, all this stuff, right? It's very enticing. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a very enticing offer, but you have training the next morning. Are you going to say, yeah, I'll go, and then your training the next morning sucks, and then you're going further away from your number one priority, which is playing college football? Or are you going to say, hey, man, no, I can't. I got training tomorrow. I got practice tomorrow. Like, what decisions are you making? So you need to get your priorities in order, understand what is important to you, and understand how you are going to get to that goal that is important to you, and your decision-making skills will be much better. And if you just keep that in your mind, it's going to help you prevent from caving into that like peer pressure and caving into those temptations that high school life will throw at you, okay? So now, last mistake, and I talked about this briefly early on, thinking you can get by with just natural talent, okay? So I've seen these players before. Players in high school can get by with natural talent, in high school, can get by with natural talent. I'm assuming a lot of you don't just want to get by. I'm assuming a lot of you want to thrive at whatever position that you guys are ultimately playing, and you want to go play in college, and you want to have success in college, and maybe you take it further than that. I would assume that's your goal. Because just like me, when I was a kid, I wanted to go play in the NFL, and then I didn't grow. So I'm like, oh, well, maybe not. But anyway, what I'm trying to say to you guys, a lot of you have that goal. Like, you want to go play in the next level. You want to go play college, and maybe you want to get a chance to play professionally, whether that's in the NFL or some other professional league. Whatever it is, you want to play football as long as you can because you love football, right? You got to understand that natural talent ain't going to get you past college. Will not get you. It'll get you into college maybe, but most of us do not have natural talent like that. So it brings you back to my point number one. You need to be doing things outside of practice. But what I will say is that if you're a dude who's got great natural talent, super fast, tall, can jump out of the gym, great receiver skills, when you get to college, guess what, bro? Every single person on that roster has that natural talent. And you know how you're going to get ahead? By working your ass off. And if you don't know how to work, then you're not going to have success at the college level. These are the kids. Transfer to this school. Okay, I don't play. Now I'm going to transfer to this school. Okay, I don't play. Now I'm going to transfer to this school. Okay, now I don't play. Now my career's over. Those are, guys, I've seen it before. I'm not just talking out of my ass. I'm not making things up. I'm talking about things that I've actually seen with athletes who think they can just get by with natural talent. That's generally not the case. Okay, so guys, make sure you learn how to work in high school. Put in the time, put in the effort, even if you have that natural God-given ability, because that is when you get to that next level, you could actually do something with it. Okay? So fellas, that's all I'm going to say about that. I hope this was able to help. Hope you guys got some value out of this episode of our show. But again, guys, if you have questions, stuff you want to ask me, don't hesitate. Post those in the comment section below. Love interacting with you guys. We love all you guys who tune in, so we really appreciate the support, and we'll see y'all next time.